Hey everybody. So for today's TR's Corner episode, I want to talk about the time where when I first saw the movie Monsters Ball for the very first time in my life. Very good film, very good Mark Forster film. Mark Forster, has done like World War Z and Stranger Than Fiction and a couple of other really good stuff. Yeah, so for my first time for seeing Monsters Ball, and this is basically the story for TR's Corner that I want to talk about for you today. When I saw it for the very first time, I rented it from a library. It was a VHS tape of the film. For some odd reason, the library I went to didn't have a DVD copy of it. Brought it home, watched it for the very first time. Very good film. I was very entertained by it. Very dramatically moving at times. But the reason why I wanted to bring up this story specifically for you today on this TR's Corner episode is because about 90 minutes into the film, and for those who have seen the movie, you'll know probably which scene I'm talking about, and why it's maybe a little embarrassing for your parent to walk in on you watching a scene like this. And I'll try to keep it PG for this video, since it is a very dirty scene in this movie. But you'll see in a minute why it's a very disturbing scene to watch when one of your parents is present with you. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring up the story with you today. Um, so I'm watching the movie. I have no idea what's basically because it is my first time seeing the film. I have basically anything goes. It could be a very violent scene that I'm unaware of it. It could be a very sexual scene. It could be a very surprising scene. It could be like The Sixth Sense where I don't see something coming, and anything goes with this. And so, at the time, I had no idea that a scene this dirty was in the movie. Like I said, I knew that there was violence in the film. I knew there was probably going to be language and maybe a little bit of racism every once in a while. But I wasn't aware of the fact that the scene that was coming, and it required, like I said, I'm going to try to keep this as PG as I can. It did involve Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton removing several pieces of clothing off, and they both had alcohol in their system, and they both, let's just say, were in a mood to do an activity that a man and a woman would do when they want to create a child when they are a married couple. I guess that's the best way to say it. And so, there's a scene where that happens. And like I said, so right when it starts, so keep in mind, this is my very first time seeing the film. I had no idea that a scene like this was even in the movie. I thought, it was a film about, basically a depiction of the South in a way. And so, I'm watching the scene, and I swear to God, my dad walks in right as the scene begins. So, like I said, those of you who haven't seen Monsters Ball, you're probably not going to know what I'm talking about. But maybe if you look it up online, just say like Halle Berry dirty scene in Monsters Ball. I'm sure that either the actual scene will come up or maybe an image from the scene will come up. But so very dirty scene in the movie. It's definitely not a kids movie at all. And this scene for sure is definitely not meant for kids' eyes. And for some odd reason, it was shown in a public movie theater. Strangely enough, and and yeah, it was it was very it was very disturbing to watch because my own dad was in the room while we were watching it, and yeah, it was just so out of every movie I've ever watched, as far as the most awkward movie to watch when one of your parents is around. Monsters Ball definitely took the cake just because of that scene alone. So, very awkward moment. Just very. You wanted to be in a different room at the time this happened. It was just one of those kind of moments. So yeah, my dad was watching it with me, and just like you could have walked in at a different scene, and you walk in on the scene that I wasn't even aware of that was going to happen until watching the movie. So, very awkward moment. Definitely one of the more awkward moments I've ever had. That's why I wanted to share this story with you today. So, what do you guys think? I'm going to share more of these stories later on. Maybe even state below if you thought the story does seem awkward, or if you had an awkward moment yourself when a scene you weren't expecting coming in a movie, and your parent walks in at the worst possible time. Feel free to list that down below. Um, Hope to see you guys here for another episode of this, and I will see you here for future videos.